Takk da. Ja, så dette da tredje episode, og den handler om hvordan vi kan alternative eierformer i landbruket da. Nå jo det ganske mange som har lyst til å bli bønder, men det også veldig, veldig vanlig for bønder å havne inn i en sånn økonomisk tredemølle, hvor man blir sittende fast i en produksjonssyklus, hvor man må tjene mye penger og få mye lån da. Så det veldig spennende å høre hvordan Anne Dirsch fra Fokhol Gård og gjengen der løser det på Fokhol Gård. Og så har vi også fått med oss Mari Gjengedal, som har satt i gang et prosjekt som heter regenerativ revolution, hvor hun har hatt en drøm om å starte en organisasjon som kjøper nedleggingstruede gårder og gjør dem tilgjengelig for folk som ønsker å drive. Så jeg tror vi bare begynner med deg, Mari, sånn at du kan fortelle mer om prosjektet ditt. Og så skal Anne presentere etterpå. Hun kommer til å snakke på engelsk. Og så blir det en samtale med spørsmål etterpå da, til slutt.
Takk. Hei alle sammen, jeg heter Mari, og driver altså en bedrift som heter Regenerativ revolusjon. Jeg håper dere hører meg greit. Jeg tenkte å snakke litt om bakgrunnen for den ideen som jeg fikk for noen år siden, og litt om hva som gjøres med det. Det startet vel egentlig når jeg selv var på jakt etter gård, eller småbruk. Jeg en som alltid har bodd i by, oppvokst på et byggefelt, og så siden bodd i storbyen nesten hele livet. Og så har jeg aldri hatt noe særlig bakgrunn eller kontakt med landbruket, så jeg kommer liksom utenfra landbruket. Men etter ganske mange år i miljøbevegelsen så begynte jeg å kjenne på savnet etter å komme nærmere jorden og få et liv som var mer i pakt med naturen, drive mer med jordbruk. Så jeg begynte liksom å drømme om å få meg en gård eller et småbruk etter en stund. Og den prosessen med å gå fra å bo i byen og ikke ha noe med landbruk å gjøre til å ende opp på en gård, den var veldig lærerik på mange måter. Den første erfaringen var jo, eller den første erkjennelsen var egentlig hvor vanskelig det å få tak i gårder i utgangspunktet, når det kommer utenifra. Fordi noe som mange egentlig ikke klar over før de kanskje har prøvd å få tak i en gård før, hvor ekstremt lukket landbruksnæringen Så hvis du kommer fra landbruket, hvis du vokst opp på gård, og i hvert fall hvis du har en odel på gård, så det jo på en måte relativt lett å få tak i gård. Særlig hvis du liksom inne i nettverket og du kjenner folk. Hvis ikke du har odel, så kanskje du kjenner noen andre som tenker på å selge, og så blir det liksom sånn jungeltelegrafen, at det veldig mye enklere å få tak i en gård når du liksom inne i nettverket selv. Men når du kommer utenfra, så det plutselig veldig vanskelig, fordi selv om det mange, mange gårder som burde være tilgjengelig, så blir ikke de lagt ut for salg. Og det jo på en måte forståelig også, fordi de fleste gårder har jo vært i familien i generasjoner. Og det nok mange som sitter på landbrukseiendommer som kjenner at det veldig liksom, det sitter veldig langt inne å legge ut gården sin for salg, og tenke på å selge til noen som man overhodet ikke kjenner. Men det resulterer jo da i at veldig få gårder faktisk blir lagt ut på det åpne markedet, og at terskelen for de som kommer utenfra blir veldig høy. Og så det den andre tingen, og det det at det koster ekstremt mye å kjøpe en gård. Og for mange det ikke aktuelt i det hele tatt å komme dit hen at man får tak i en gård, fordi at for mange kan man ikke, det ikke mulig å ta opp mange millioner i gjeld. Du skal jo være i en litt sånn spesiell privilegert situasjon for å få til det. Mange gårder trenger masse investeringer før du i det hele tatt kommer i gang. Eller så har det blitt investert fra før av, og da blir jo prisen på gården dertil dyrere, og når det på det åpne markedet i tillegg, så jo prisen som regel dyrere enn hvis du overtar på odel. Så hvis du ung, kanskje enslig, eller ikke har mye egenkapital fra før, så på en måte gårdsdrømmen umulig å nå, hvis du skal gjøre det på den tradisjonelle måten. Og den siste erkjennelsen som jeg kom til ganske fort etter at vi hadde kjøpt vår gård og kommet i gang med å drive, det var det at det jo ikke meningen at gårder skal drives alene, eller av en eller to personer. Så måten vi driver landbruk på nå jo historisk sett veldig, veldig ny. Opp gjennom mesteparten av historien så har gårder blitt drevet i fellesskap, med storfamilien til stede. Det har vært mange som har bodd på gården, det har vært mange som har bidratt. Mens nå så driver vi på, liksom, på store gårder, stadig større gårder, og driver på 1 eller 2 personer, og jobber sinnssykt mye. Og det et enormt arbeidspress, og alle de som tidligere har vært der til å kunne hjelpe, å ta unna arbeid, de ikke der lenger. Så hvis du skal inn i landbruket på den tradisjonelle måten, så skal du være for det første ekstremt heldig at du får tak i en gård, og så må du ta opp innmari mye gjeld, og så må du jobbe utrolig mye hele resten av livet for å betale ned den gjelden. Og det var så mye der som jeg følte at dette det henger ikke på greip. Det må finnes bedre måter å gjøre dette på. Og etter hvert som jeg har jobbet stadig mer med økonomiske systemer og kapitalisme, og har liksom sett så tydelig hvordan gjeldssamfunnet vi lever i dag ikke funker, så begynte jeg å tenke på måter man kunne organisere eierskap over land utenfor den tradisjonelle gjeldsbaserte økonomien. Hvis du tenker på egentlig, altså det jo i generasjonsskiftene eller i overdragelsene at veldig mye av problemet ligger. Fordi hver gang det kommer en ny eier til en gård, hvis du ung og kjøper en gård, så må du ta opp massevis av gjeld, og så må du jobbe igjen til troet hele livet for å betale ned den gjelden, og hvis du heldig og du kommer til pensjonsalderen, så har du nedbetalt den gjelden, men så kommer det en ny generasjon om å kjøpe den samme eiendommen og ta opp minst like mye gjeld en gang til, og sånn, det på en måte en sånn der evig syklus som bare går igjen og går igjen gjennom generasjonene. Og hvis du tenker på det, så har jo alle landbrukseiendommene i Norge blitt nedbetalt mange, mange ganger. Og de som tjener på det systemet jo bankene. For hver gang en eiendom skifter hender, så får bankene en ny mulighet til å dra flere ressurser ut av den samme eiendommen på. Så det som jeg begynte å tenke på var, tenk hvis eiendommen aldri skifter hender. Tenk hvis det den samme enheten som eier eiendommen hele tiden, på ubestemt tid, og det aldri noe gjeld som må nedbetales. Hvordan ville det vært for meg som bonde hvis jeg ikke hadde den gjelden som jeg hadde når jeg overtok gården? Hvis huslånet mitt forsvant, eller gårdslånet mitt forsvant, og jeg bare måtte betjene liksom, de løpende utgiftene ved å drive gården, hvordan hadde det påvirket min situasjon som bonde? Og svaret jo det at mesteparten av utgiftene våre gikk til å nedbetale lån. Sånn, hvis vi ikke hadde hatt de utgiftene, så hadde det å være bonde vært enormt mye mer overkommelig. Og det vil jo ikke si at det løser alle problemene i landbruket, fordi bønder tjener jo fremdeles alt for lite. Men for veldig mange bønder så det jo gjelden som det største problemet. Sånn at hvis det hadde vært en måte å fjerne gjelden på, og eie gårder utenfor banksystemet, så hadde det ikke bare gjort ganske mye for gjelden, men det hadde også gjort landbrukseiendommer og gårder og jord mer tilgjengelig for folk utenfor landbruket fra før. Og det noe vi trenger, så det jo flere folk inn i landbruket. For det ikke sånn at så det mangler ikke på jord som trenger å drives, og det mangler ikke på folk som trenger meningsfullt arbeid, og det jo heller ikke sånn at vi har alt for mye matproduksjon i Norge. Vi har jo ekstremt lav selvforsyning. At hvis vi kan få til å senke terskelen, sånn at flere av de som faktisk har lyst til å komme inn i landbruket får mulighet til det, så det veldig kult. Så det var da jeg kom på ideen om å etablere en stiftelse som kjøper gårder, nedleggingstruede gårder, gårder som trenger å bli tatt hånd om, og gjør de tilgjengelige for folk som ønsker å drive, enten på kort sikt eller på lang sikt. Og det var jo en idé som kom til meg, men det jo selvfølgelig andre smarte folk som har hatt de samme ideene, og som har drevet på med dette andre steder i verden. Så det mange land, i hvert fall i Europa, sikkert på andre kontinenter også, som jeg ikke vet om, som har ulike former for dette, som har funket bra. For eksempel i Frankrike, i Tyskland, i Danmark, i Belgia, i Nederland, og så videre. Noen organiserer det som stiftelser, noen organiserer det som jordfond og som organisasjoner der folk medlemmer og på en måte kjøper liksom, sin andel jord når de bidrar med penger. Men i hvert fall så tanken min at dette kunne vært en folkefinansiert stiftelse, primært. Det sikkert andre instanser og fond og gode liksom, organisasjoner og sånn, som også kunne tenke seg å bidra. Men for min del så synes jeg jo det aller kuleste å tenke på at dette kan være skikkelig sånn grasrotfinansiert, folkefinansiert, og at hvis vi kunne fått liksom, noen tusen mennesker til å støtte en sånn organisasjon eller stiftelse med 100 eller 200 kroner i måneden, så kunne vi plutselig fått ganske mye penger, ganske mye egenkapital, til å bare kjøpe opp gårder, sette det i stand, vedlikeholde de, og begynne å drive stadig mer jord rundt omkring i landet, som aldri egentlig trengte å skifte hender etter det. Så det har vært ideen, og så har jeg gått rundt og tenkt på det veldig lenge, og så har det vært mye annet som har skjedd, som har gjort at jeg ikke har kommet så veldig langt, men faktisk denne uken her hadde vi vårt første liksom, ordentlige møte i planleggingsgruppen, eller ja, dette har vært en sak som har engasjert mange. Det noe som mange synes en sånn umiddelbart en veldig kul idé, og som mange liksom kjenner at de skulle ønske at de kunne bidra til. Så jeg har egentlig allerede nå, før vi nesten har kommet i gang, en ganske lang liste med folk som har sagt at de interessert i å være involvert. Så vi hadde første møte denne uken her, og i gang med å begynne å tenke rundt hvordan en sånn stiftelse kan etableres, organiseres og etter hvert driftes. Så det var det. Jeg hadde tenkt å si. Ja, og dette jo da, min tanke jo at dette kan bli en landsdekkende stiftelse som eier gårder rundt omkring i hele Norge. Men det jo også flere eksempler på stiftelser som eier enkeltgårder, sånn som Anne fra Fokhol som skal snakke etterpå. Så det jo allerede, jeg synes det fantastiske eksempler på folk som har tenkt annerledes, og som har funnet løsninger på sin gård. Og så synes jeg at litt av appellen her at en større stiftelse kan på en måte bygge mer en sosial bevegelse. og et større folkelig engasjement og eierskap. Og det noe som jeg har brent for i mange år, så det det der med å få normale mennesker, folk flest, mer koblet sammen med jorden, og mer koblet sammen med ressursgrunnlaget vårt, hvordan maten vår faktisk produseres, fordi nå det jo sånn at over 99% av oss kommer ikke fra landbruket, eller ikke bønder, har ikke bakgrunn fra landbruket. Sånn at den overveldende majoriteten av befolkningen har på en måte ikke noe dag-til-dag forhold til naturen. Men jeg tror at veldig mange savner det, og jeg tror at mange moderne mennesker i dagens samfunn egentlig lengter etter en litt annen måte å leve på. Og hvis vi skal radikalt forandre samfunnet vårt i en mer regenerativ retning, en mer bærekraftig retning, så tror jeg veldig på det å bringe folk tilbake igjen til naturen og til jorden. Og dette tror jeg, en av mange ulike måter vi kan gjøre det på. Og når det en stor folkebevegelse, og det et nettverk av mennesker som ønsker å bidra til å drive gårder, så vi også mer robuste, tror jeg, fordi da kan vi på en måte sørge for at de menneskene blir puttet på de stedene hvor det trengs mest. Og så kan vi bygge opp kunnskap og erfaringer og kompetanse om det å drive landbruk og produsere mat i fellesskap. Takk for meg.
Tusen takk, Mari. Vi skal ha en runde med spørsmål og samtale hvor vi kan snakke mer om det her etterpå. Jeg har vært på besøk selv til noen gårder i Danmark som drevet på litt den måten som du sier, der de som jobber på gården får betalt fra stiftelsen, og de får bo der, og samtidig det lagt i masse ressurser på å bygge den opp, sånn at man får, sånn at de både får jobbe som bønder og får betalt for det, og selve gården blir bygget opp til noe mye større enn de kunne gjort hvis man hadde eid det privat, da, og samtidig at ikke de har lån. Så det finnes noen eksempler på det du drømmer om. Så det veldig spennende om vi kan få til noe sånt her i Norge, da. Så har vi jo, som nevnt, Anne, som jobber på Fokhol Gård sammen med 2 andre familier, tror jeg. Hvor det et eksempel da, på hvordan en gård kan drives uten at man blir sittende med masse gjeld. Så Anne vil fortelle litt. Vi i Landbruksalliansen var på besøk der i vinter, så det var veldig gøy å se litt om driften, og da fikk vi også høre litt om hvordan de faktisk gjør det, sånn forhold til økonomi og eierskap og sånn. Så nå vil Anne fortelle litt om det, og som sagt, hun vil snakke på engelsk.
Yeah, it's been some years in Norway, but the plants speak well English, so I speak to English for that. Thank you. I will share some pictures, so to let you travel through the farm. 1 second. So can you give me feedback if it works? Do you see a big farm?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay, I just need to try and find now my presentation. Here. Yeah, so my name is Anne. I am part of the Fokhol team since 2022. I'm originally from Germany. I know the farm as an intern, was here when I was 18 years old for a voluntary year, and came back many years later to take over the generation shift. I wanted to give you a short picture about the farm, how it's set up in general, and then we go a bit more into the details, how it is actually for us to have that stiftelse concept, and what do we have, a bit more in the details. So Fokhol Gård is owned by a foundation, Stiftelse Fokhol Gård, and it has quite a lot of buildings. We are close to Stange, close to Mjøsa. You see it in the background. It's 100 hectare, 1,000 dekar, big farm. And the red buildings you see, that's mostly barns and storage and garages and all these things, buildings. And the back you see the pictures from last summer, our new cow barn that's been built. And the white buildings are living houses where we as families live, and the big house in the middle is a guest house to the current status. The place, the farm, and all the buildings were owned by Stange Kommune until the 80s. Yeah, and how that shift then happened, I will come back later. Currently, we are having quite a diverse production here. We're producing vegetables, trying to produce everything we can in the northern climates. We have still like a small scale vegetable production, is only 2 hectares of the 100 that we are producing vegetables on, but we sell everything directly through our little farm shop and through restaurants. And then we have, of course, arable farming. We produce grains, all different sorts of grains, and fodder for our milk cows. And this picture is from a presentation we've done to share our visions. So it's a bit of a combination of status quo and visions. And since you saw in the picture before, it's quite open land. So a big vision is for us to create hedges and windbreaks and water erosion, stop water erosion and wind erosion. So agroforestry is one of the big next steps for us here. We have our dairy cows, 30 cows we're milking. Yeah, the one big vision that came to life was the new cow barn we built last year. So we're milking 30 cows. So far we are selling through Tine still, but the big next stream and next step will be opening some kind of processing that we can keep kind of the treasures here and market our dairy products directly. One thing we also changed quickly is the mother-bound calf rearing, that we let the calves grow up with their mothers or a mother group right now. So far with the new barn, we want to transition to calves and mothers together. But right now they're staying with a group of mothers, amatante, for 3 months. What I forgot to say, we are an organic biodynamic farm. I mean, that's not the big focus today, but of course also a big reason why we're all here. Yeah, and why the farm is so diverse. We're having a lot of people usually on the farm. This is also one of the bylaws of the foundation, and which was also a reason why we came originally and why we came back is yeah, to have education, to have training, to have exchange. So there's usually a lot of volunteers, interns from different schools around Europe, from schools in the Netherlands, from Germany, from Denmark, from organic educations, practical educations, or from our land, from Norway. They come here for three weeks until a year. It's very different. So we have space for up to 7 people at a time, have rooms. So there's like every year is different in a way, depending always with the group that's coming. And yeah, it's a lot of exchange. And in that sense, also education is always part of our daily life. Then we also had Bingen students. This is the biodynamic education here in the Nordic countries. Yeah. And then the horse work is part of the farm as well. Here you see a picture where Louise was hilling potatoes. Yeah, so we have a denne draft horses we work with. And then we have also this guest house that is part of the farm, and which is, yeah, a wonderful meeting place and an old building to take care of. You've been talking about keeping these farms up to date and renovated. This is definitely a huge challenge on a farm with a lot of buildings. But our big vision and also what we're trying is to have people come here and experience farming, and especially the good quality of food through all their senses. Come here and eat and meet and smell the farm and yeah, experience it with everything. Yeah, so this is in a way Fokhol how it is right now. And then we transition to Stiftelse Fokhol Gård and us. So we are, of course, also part of this farm. And us, that's currently 3 families, with and without kids. Yeah, and we came here, like I mentioned before, in February 2022. We took over the farm because before it was run by a couple, managed by a couple that retired. And this is also a law within the stiftelse that once you retire, you give over responsibility to the next people that come. It cannot be inherited within your family. I mean, if their children would have wanted to take it over, they could have also kind of applied, but they were not reaching towards being farmers. So it was in a way this open window for us to come in, and it was a 1.5-year process with the board of directors of the foundation to find agreements and find ways how to step in, into this management position. I want to start a bit with the history of Fokhol, because it was really nice to listen to Mari and hear a bit like how would it be to start a stiftelse now. And Fokhol Gård was actually turned into a foundation in the 90s, 1991. They signed the contracts or the stiftelse papers, and it's so funny to think of this. It was actually set up with the help of a lot of friends and support of worthy people, and also with the support of bank loans. And there was this huge community around it. And there were Morten and Sigune, a couple that had worked on a neighboring farm, and they saw this opportunity of buying Fokhol, which was owned by the Stange Kommune, and approached the commune and said, like, we really have a big vision here to create a place for people to learn, to make an example of organic biodynamic farming. And they said, and turn it into a foundation. And they said, okay, go for it. And they managed to gather a lot of money and buy this farm with the intention to turn it directly into a foundation. And I think that also makes it much easier to donate money, because you're directly contributing to securing land, instead of creating giving your private money to a family that's maybe getting wealthier. I think it's just much easier to donate to a foundation. So they bought this farm, and within 5 years they managed to pay off all their loans, and turned this farm directly into a foundation. But we're running it with another family together for 30 years. And now this generation shift happened, and we came in. And I have the feeling kind of this, the board of directors always said to us, like, yeah, there's this big community around Fokhol. There's so much support out there. And we arrived, and I was like, where are they all? I mean, they've been there 30 years ago, but Fokhol is so established in a way that they are still there and they think of us, but we haven't really met them through these years. So in a way, to find also a system where people can stay kind of in contact with the generation shifts that happen. So that's definitely a big thought I have or had after your talk now. So then we came in 2022, and then 1.5 years before, it was a lot of paperwork. So I want to go a bit more into the details of how are the agreements between Stiftelsen and us in detail. So the start of it all is, of course, the bylaws of the foundation that were formed in 1991 already. And I picked out the most important ones. It's just a 2-pager. It's not very complicated. But in the beginning, it's stated that, it's Stiftelsen Fokhol Gård. It's placed here in Stange. It has this and this much land. And it's not for commercial purpose, this foundation. So we are actually not aiming to make any profit. Like, everything we're making goes back into the foundation to be reinvested into the farm. Like, we're not reaching to have any surplus in the end of the year. Like, everything we make, we're reaching to have to not have negatives, that's for sure. But we don't want to go out with profit, because everything we make, we want to reinvest and keep this farm developing. The citizen owns the land, owns the buildings, owns all animals, all machinery. Every hammer and every nail that is on this farm is owned by the foundation. And they started with a funding capital, and I had a chat with Morten just before we started, because it's stated in the papers that they started with 200,000 krona, and I asked him, what does that number mean? And he said, actually, they founded the foundation with 500 krona only, but now 10 years ago the rules get changed that you have to put in 200,000 to be able to start a citizen. So that's the start, which, yeah, is not crazy, I find, but definitely different than 500 kronas. And then the heart of this whole these bylaws is the purpose of the foundation, and that's actually three main aspects. It should stay biodynamic and organic. It should stay a working community, so it should never be run just by one person or a family. It should stay without private property or property rights. So I shouldn't bring my private tractor into this farm and someday I take it with. So it should kind of be run within this system. And it should stay active and open. There should be experimental development, research training, and yeah, exchange. So this is the ground rules, how we started here. The board, there's still some aspects about the board, that it has 5 to 8 members, and 2 of them are part of our working group, the INS. I will come to that later, and the decisions should be unanimous. So that's quite basic in a way. Under those few words is kind of the system saved. And then the board of directors that is representing the citizen is giving the responsibility about the daily management to the INS. The INS, that's kind of our running team. I come to that later. But then we worked on, like, what's the agreement between the INS, the ansvarlig selskap. We created a little company as managers here on the farm. So there needed to be an agreement, like what do we have to do? What do we get actually when we work here? Because we're never going to own the farm. We are not going to retire here. So kind of what's the deal in a way? And that was very hard to grasp as all young farmers coming from school and university, like oi, oi, oi. But we fought through that. And also I took out the few basics. So we agreed with the board directors that we have to do a yearly budget. We present them a budget of what we wanted to invest in, how much we're expecting to make as income, how much we're expecting to spend on certain things. So we do that in the beginning of the year, and according to that budget, we try to get through the year. But of course, it's agriculture. Never anything is very predictable, but we try. And within that budget, we also put what we call work compensation. Since we're not employed here, we're giving our time and effort to the foundation in a way to create something, but as compensation we get paid. But we're not employed, because otherwise we would need kind of a boss. So we have this company where we're kind of giving our work time to the foundation. But we manage all the foundation accounts. So we act and react in the name of the foundation. So the economic conditions, with this work compensation, we agree in the budget process. And here this headline also surprised me, social benefits. That's work in progress. We haven't gotten there yet. But it's definitely a goal and a big question how to get there. Because so far, of course, we pay taxes and we are in the social system, but we're not part of the retirement payments. And so, but we gave ourselves a few years to figure that out, because we thought it's too big to think of right from the beginning. Rights related to the disposal of Fokhol. farm, I mentioned that before, we have kind of free decisions over houses, buildings, animals, as long as we stay within these bylaws, biodynamic, several families, and economic stable. So we can decide whether we need employees, whether we want new members in our ANS, whether we want to rent out a house or use it ourselves. Like, this is all within our decision. Yeah, but what we have to ensure to the foundation is that we maintain the soil, we maintain the buildings, we maintain machinery and the livestock. We keep the mortgage debts paid and the interests, because there are loans on this farm before we came, and we still have to pay the bank. Like, we weren't kind of freed from everything just because there's a new team. And we have still some obligations to the previous tenants. So the two families that retired, they had individual deals with the foundation. The one family is still living on the farm, and the other family got paid out because they also had not saved enough money through their 30 years of living here. So they kind of got paid out to secure their retirement, but still have a deal that they get farm products from the farm. So that's something we also took on before when we came. That's nothing we can change. That was an agreement before. And then also a very important part was this entry into force and termination of the agreement. Like, how do we get in and out? And that was a funny process back then digitally, because before they had rented out the farm always for 10 years, and all of us were like, no, we don't want to say yes for 10 years. In some way that can be security, but it can also be quite intimidating, not knowing what to get into. So we have, in that sense, an unlimited contract, but we have the possibility to end our contract within 2 years. So if we want to leave as a team, we give a 2-year notice, because that's at least the time it would take for the board of directors to find new people. But if we're not fulfilling our obligations, like not working towards the bylaws, or also doing a kind of financial not good decisions, then we would have a 1-year notice from the board. So that would be very interesting to discuss with you, maybe if what you think about it. For us, it felt quite free and actually good. Yeah, so that's kind of the stiftelse. Then it's the contract with the INS. And then who is the INS? And there we've been starting to do a contract within our little company. I mean, it was super easy to register, just on Bundesregister. We registered ourselves as a ansvarlig selskap, and we do our own little bookkeeping, but there's not much happening apart from paying each individually a little loan. And we've tried to form what we are into some kind of into an agreement. And it's a process. And I read it now just before this, and I narrowed it down in how much do I need and how much can I give, because that's the constant discussion we're having, or the constant balance we're trying to find. We have different ages, we have different backgrounds, we have different family statuses. So there are questions, and there's not many answers yet. But how much do I need? So we have to discuss together, how much money do we pay ourselves? How much do I actually need? And that's for everybody different. How much living space do I need? There's different options on the farm. Yeah, who lives where? For which reason? How much security do I need? How can people come in, join, leave? In which speed? How much holidays do I need? How much privacy sphere do I need? Like, how close together can we actually work and live? And how much communication do I also need, or can I give? And then on the giving side, I also like, how much work time can I give? Because we're not employed. We don't have someone who says like, it's 8 o'clock, where are you? Or it's 6 in the evening, go home. How much do I actually can invest into community building? we are many people. We need to talk a lot. How much security can I give to the others? How long can I promise others I will stay? Like I'm for this investment. I'll stay the next 10 years to make it happen, because farming is not just a one thing and then it's done. How much trust can I give? How much trust do I have? Like, do the others actually work as much as I do? Or do they give enough? And how open am I for new members or changing team? And yeah, that's coming to my end. Changing team. That's the other thing of not having to own a farm, or being able to not own a farm. There's 4 pictures and the first is missing. So there is some people are in each picture, like me, for example, but it's also been a changing team in just 4 years. And the 5th picture for this year is completely different again. So being able to come and go can be an advantage, but it can also be a really big challenge for the people that stay, because it was a social up and down the whole time. Many people like to do something in community and would like to work in community. And once it's happening, especially in farming, it's quite overwhelming. So from the team, how we started in 2021 and where we are now, it's been really, a big change. But also it gives people the opportunity to start farming, to be farmers. All of us, that's maybe something I can say to the end. We're all not coming from farms. We're coming from Berlin, from the centers of the cities. We're coming from suburbs, and we decided to be farmers. And this gave us the opportunity to start it. And so far, it's going quite well. Yeah, but still with a lot of questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. That's a lot to think about, I think, and many things you've thought through. And I think it's really valuable to have examples like this. Do you have any comments to each other, Mari and Anne? Any thoughts and cross ideas with
It's so interesting to listen to, and I've been wondering a lot about how, the nitty-gritty stuff of the organization at Fokhol. So I have several detailed questions, but right now I would just like to say it's very interesting, and it sounds like you've figured out a lot in a short time, and it's very nice to hear that you think it's working out, but also it's very interesting to see, how that so much has happened in your team in that short a while, and how important it is to have good processes, I think, to be robust and to have a good communication about expectations and about what people are willing to give. And one question that came to mind when you were speaking about that is, how have you navigated the individual differences between you? I mean, people have different capacities and different needs when it comes to rest and working hours and that kind of thing. And how have you found a good way in navigating that?
I think it's talking. It's a lot of time. Sometimes our interns and volunteers are like, again a meeting? But yeah, we do a lot of meetings and we take a lot of time. It's evenings, it's weekends. It's getting a lot less now, because I think we've solved some really deep issues that need to come up. Like, for example, having different family status, how it is with children and other don't, and like there's just in reality different times people can work, for example. But it's a lot of talking and a lot of trust building. Like, we also came together as we knew about each other. Some even didn't. And then it's like you have to, in a way, to become friends, to really trust each other, that everybody's doing the best they can. And that takes time. And there are it also is it's different with people. Some people are willing to go that path, and others say like it's too much. I can't think myself into 5 different people and try to understand them until I can actually do my work here. But then it's not the right place, and that's also totally okay if people realize that. Yeah, but I think it's a lot of talking, and also helpful to have some kind of moderators, mediators. We had support from the board to navigate us through there. So that is helpful, but it's also a money issue. Like then we were thinking like, yeah, getting a neutral person to help us through once a week for a few hours. Like we didn't have much money. We came here, took over a farm with a lot of debt. Like, and then you spend a few thousand each week on on mediators. Like, yeah, we figured that out ourselves, but maybe it would have been worth it. So getting support is, I think, is good.
If I can ask one question more, you know, the way you have done it, you came together as a group, and then you decided collectively, now we're going to take over this farm. And I'm sure there are both benefits and challenges about that, because one might think that the farm perhaps is a bit more vulnerable, one might say, when you decide, or if you decided to just leave, then everybody left, and then the continuity wouldn't be that easy to keep, compared to, say, if there were some who lived on the farm for many years, and then there were people coming and going for shorter or longer periods of time. So there was always somebody who had been there for a while and could, you know, teach the next people up. Have you thought about which one of those you would prefer?
I mean, it was definitely a jump in cold waters. I don't know if that's a German saying, but like it was really, from day one we were responsible, and I would never recommend that to anybody. But it is just often the reality of farms. I have this feeling farmers, they hold on so tight to what they've achieved, and they can't think of letting go. And then it's so hard for new ones to come in that sometimes this cold cut might even be easier. Like I felt, okay, from day one we were free to do whatever we wanted. Of course, we had to milk some cows, we had to grow some grain, but there were no expectations at all. So I think depending on what's the model of that farm, but if it's a farm often that doesn't have people to take over, or no family members take over, and it's out for sale, and then a citizen is founded and the new group is coming, I think it gives more freedom, because as soon as someone's there for years and someone's coming in, we experience that even after 3 years. Like I have my mind how to run the garden, and now there's someone new coming, and I'm not going to start all over every year again. But so I'm already getting a bit stubborn. But so I think it is definitely nice for a group to form and take over at once and to develop together, because otherwise new people always have to adapt. And it's, yeah. So, but it's, yeah, it's, of course, it's both has its challenges and but advantages as well. Yeah. I was to your presentation, you said like you're finding a lot of people now that want to become farmers, and I sometimes wonder, where are they? Where are all those people? Do they actually, are they ready to start, or do they dream about it? Like this, I find this farmer reality has such a big picture. Who is actually, where are the people that really are there when it's realistic? Because I know so many farms, if it's in Germany or now in Norway, they're closing down. There's no one to take over. Do they just don't manage to communicate it, or where are the people? Where's the network?
I think there's definitely a lot of people who are just, you know, Instagram dreamers, and never actually realizes their dream about getting a farm. But I also know of several people that have realized that dream, and I'm lucky enough to, you know, both through the my own farm that I don't have anymore, but that I used to have. A lot of people connected with me through that, and a lot of people have connected with me through, you know, the Farmers Union where I work, and also my clients. I do a bit of coaching. I have a lot of these people as my clients, and so perhaps my you know, my view is a little bit skewed because I feel like there's a lot of these people. But maybe I just know a lot of them. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of relatively young people who are managing to get their hands on a farm or are actively seeking one out, and maybe spends a few years on that. And my question is how to, you know, are they staying? Is it sustainable for them to keep going? Because I also see several of them having to give up because, you know, because of the high debt and because of the low income. So that's what motivates me a lot to try to seek other ways for us to keep, yeah, to keep these people on the farms. I also saw a question from Hannah about who are these people who are interested in this foundation. That is a mixed bunch, really. It's a lot of diversity there. We have lawyers and economists and artists and people working in different organizations and environmentalists, but also actual farmers who already have a farm and thinks that more people should be able to be farmers.
So if any others have more questions, you can raise your hand or write it in the chat. There's one more question from Hannah. Is there a trial period before binding yourself to several years? That's for Anne.
Yeah, that's also something we've developed in the years through try and error. We had all different kinds. We had new people join, and we just employed them to say like, so you are safe, since it is quite shaky. Our income always depends on the budget we do for the year. So the first years we decided to have a very low income and be able to invest more in the farm, and now we actually managed to raise our income. So we wanted to get new people and have it safe for them, so we employed them. But then it created a very strange hierarchy, even though we didn't want that. All of a sudden, they were kind of dependent on us. So then we said, okay, we try to go directly into the ans. So we are kind of all in. And that also didn't really work out because it was too overwhelming to begin with. So now we found the concept, and we started that with our newest member just a few months ago. So I can update you in 2 years, that we say you're 1 year employed, so we can get to know each other. Then you are another year still employed, so you're kind of secure. You have your secure income and not so dependent on the farm economy. But you're already joining all the INS meetings, so the core team meetings. So we also get to know how do we make decisions, how do we work together. And then after 2 years, you kind of have to join the INS. So that's what we're trying out now. And within the INS, we have the same deal like the INS has with the foundation. If someone wants to leave, you have a 2-year notice, or you find an individual deal. So there were people that could leave because we found replacement for them, so they left after the season, for example. Right now, we're such a small team that it wouldn't be possible so quickly. Maybe then it would take a bit longer. So we try to find the best solutions. But so in that sense, that's the idea so far. Did that answer a bit? Yeah.
I'm wondering a bit, you mentioned how you divide the responsibility between you and the board, and that, you know, the board owns all the buildings and the animals and that kind of thing, and that you have to make a plan every year for and a budget. But I would also imagine that there is a lot of instances where something comes up, like you have to repair something, or you want suddenly to change something in a house, or something like that costs money. So how do you navigate those situations?
I mean, by now we have a picture of the financial situation of the farm, so we can say, like, for example, now we want to change all the heaters in the guest house and say, okay, this is another extra 250,000. Do we actually have that? And then we look at it within our liquidity budget and within the budget, even though we didn't plan it last fall. And then we say, okay, we can do it or not, and then we kind of present it to the board, and we've gotten so far that they say, yeah, you do that, or you don't do it if you don't think that's good. I mean, they pressure us in a way of keeping the buildings maintained. That's definitely hasn't been a focus the first 2 years. But so now we're really starting on that. But we are in a really good dialogue. And in a way, they are responsible in the end of the day, the board of directors. But it's still like we have to live with it, and we have to manage to make the money. So it is quite consensual, yeah, to how we do it. And it's 4 people in the board plus 2 of us, or yeah. So it's not like this big board meeting of a lot of men in ties that in big companies. It's kind of the neighbor and a neighboring farmer, and yeah. So it's people that really want this farm to succeed in that sense, but they volunteer. They don't get paid for that what they do. So that's also something to consider when starting a business. You really need a support group that's willing to put in some time and some board meetings and look through paperwork. But it's also a huge asset. We had a lawyer in the board last year. It's like, that's always good to have. And yeah, they don't have to be farmers. It's actually good that they're not farmers. Yeah.
Emma has a question.
Yeah, hello everyone. I have a question, but I also just wanted to share because I don't think my camera is working today. But I have been sitting here just laughing and crying a bit too. Thank you, Mari, for your kind of lighting the fire of this talk and connecting it directly to the society of depth that we are stuck in, and how we are trying to create alternatives outside of this. You take over and you say straight that we don't want to make money. And that's maybe something you can say when you don't have shareholders. So I'm definitely going to listen back to this conversation, because there's still the difference between a stiftelse and a fellesskap is it's not landing yet. But I think you need more time. I wanted to ask, I mean, I also want to share just that when we visited Fokhol and you shared the concept of islands of hope, this listening today has definitely been an island of hope for me, that there is alternatives out there. It's like we are coming from the future and talking about how we're going to get there. So thank you for taking the risks for us now.
Oh.
I wanted to, it's how you differentiate between how much do I need and how much can I give. This very essential and subjective question. So with that, I'm wondering if there is a room for people with different abilities. One thing that my biggest fear now that I'm working as a farmer is if my back or my knees break. But I still want this lifestyle and how to engage with the soil and live a good life. So I'm curious about the room for people with different abilities and movements like this.
I think there the community-owned or community-shared farming is the solution, because we should not get there where your knees or your back breaking. Like that should not be an option. And of course we're giving everything right now, but we're still young, and I think we can do it, but we can't go like that for the next 20 years. But the hope is that we don't have to, actually, like that we can actually say in 10 years, this was my farming time, and now I do something else because the next new young people are coming. And I haven't worked myself to 65 and I can't walk anymore. And yeah, so in a way, I don't want to even get there. And of course, we are working a lot, and it's definitely still too much, but we actually can go on holidays. Like 2 weeks in the winter, in November, we go visit family in Germany, or my partners from the US, and it is possible. And I think we will get somewhere. There's still a very, very big open market to conquer in organic farming in Norway, so we're kind of in the rise. So I think it is possible to make money with farming in Norway, even though it's really hard. But it is possible to have a good lifestyle. Yeah, so I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah, community and being able to leave, I think, are the solutions. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That is a dream that we could all live this, for the periods that fits our lives. And to hear you also in the end of last topic say that there is lawyers, there is economists, like you can be a part of a movement like that, but maybe fill other roles. And I also just wanted to share how much I am inspired by like how you broaden the definition of farmer, that everyone at Fokhol is a farmer, but traditionally we think of that as a man that owns the land. Thank you for
that needs a lot of work, I think, still, to make but there's also a lot of movement happening now. I mean, now we talked also a lot about the positives, and there's still things we haven't figured out. Like we haven't figured out retirement, because we're 3 families, we cannot all retire on this farm. We don't even want to, maybe. Like, and then how do we manage to make enough income within our company that we're actually part of the social security system of Norway and can retire off the farm? So that is a huge, huge question we have to figure out. Otherwise, we can also not work here for the next 20 years. And then, with 50, find a real job to be able to have an apartment then when we can't work on our knees and hands anymore. So that is definitely a big question. And so it's not just not completely the solution there yet, but we will try.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to comment briefly that not only are you a place for like practical learning about agroecology, but it would be interesting to come and learn about the social systems that you're creating. And I don't know if you're using tools from sociocracy or any tools when you try to have a flat structure and all of that, but that would be interesting to be a fly on the wall for also the forcing you.
I also think it's a very important topic you bring up there, Emma, about how to create a system that allows for not only individual differences and levels of function, but also allows us to be humans, like full real humans, because in my opinion it's so clear that the agricultural system that we have now is so dependent on human exploitation to be able to work. Like, I see time and time again these young people coming into agriculture, and then they give so much of themselves. They give up many years where they work so hard that they become completely burnt out at the end of it, and still they haven't, been able to create security for themselves. And I think that kind of system where we, are dependent on exploiting young people over and over again, and always, having to bring a new generation of young people in to be able to keep it up, it's not a way we can continue. And so how can we create a more inclusive agricultural system where people don't have to work that much and don't have to earn that much, and we can contribute with all our gifts and our interests in a community without having to use people up, and where we can have multifaceted and diverse lives where we can, be everything that we are. And that's a question that keeps running through my mind again and again. So I don't have that many good answers, but I think we have to keep asking ourselves that question to be able to find new ways forward.
There, I think it's the answer is community supported agriculture, like CSAs, and that's where I see the future of farming. Well, very, very much in the beginning of that, but to really involve the community, if it's a smaller or wider community, if it's from Stange to Oslo or from Stange to Hamar, involve people and feeling responsible, like not we have the economic burden on our shoulder, and if it's raining or snowing early or whatever, or not raining, but people are part of it. And I think that's also much easier if it's a foundation, because then it's kind of community owned in so many on so many levels. Like you're securing land, you're giving the farmers a well-paid job to produce food for the community, and then it's kind of it closes up. But that needs a lot of communication. We haven't mentioned that yet, but my dream is that this is actually the next step. That we can be paid as a normal wage, be part of the social security system of Norway, and secure land as organic for the time forever, and we are just here for the time we're farming, and then the next people come. But that's a lot of work to communicate.
There is a question from Synne.
It's not. Should we speak English or Norwegian?
I think
it's not so much okay. It's not so much a question. Just a part of an answer to the question about disability and different abilities. I've been volunteering through Grandsbatak for 3 weeks at a co-owned farm, where the farmers are both over 60 now, and I think we've talked about it a lot, and they really wish that they had volunteers earlier, because having like just a little bit of seasonal help every year to do like heavy tasks, so you can have an extra hour on the couch or to relax, has made like a really meaningful impact only for 3 weeks for these farmers. And I guess I think they both wish they realized sooner that they could have more help without having to pay someone a full wage.
Thank you. Hanna?
Yeah, hi. I am a vet, and I'm also a previous farmer. I've worked as a vet in several districts in Norway several years, and I can just say, even though one doesn't have the answer to a perfect solution, there must be initiatives like this to discuss, because the situation is not, or the development is not good. It's too much responsibility on too few people, on too many animals, and it doesn't add up. I have several colleagues, I call them farmers, but also vets, that are much alone in the system, and they are the symptoms of a system that doesn't work in many cases. So it's so important that we gather across different experiences and what is it called? Yrke, occupations, to just discuss openly. There is no right or wrong directly, but there must be a change. And I believe it's possible. It just needs to put the lens on those that think outside the box and say that even though something has been there from before, it doesn't have to be like that further. And as in the situation of Anne there, I believe that you have, if you have a bit more capacity to look around and to feel that you are not closed off, or you have a community, or you have time off, you have also a different mind going into that barn or to that animal. It's just logic. It's how the body works. If you're over the top, I've been there myself as a farmer. If you are drained, you don't do good work for that group of animals either. So thank you. That was what I wanted to say. It's really necessary. We have to go together, and thank you, Mari. I'm following your work, and it's good that things are happening.
Yeah, I think things are happening, although they're maybe not happening as quickly as we would like. But I think definitely that we're closing in on a turning point now, a necessary turning point, because we're at this breaking point where if we keep continuing, then everything will collapse. It's very obvious for us who pays attention, and there has been this divide, I think, between the traditional farmers and the rest of the society for so long. And the traditional farmers, they're old school. They have been telling themselves for generations now that to be a good farmer means you have to do everything alone or by yourself. You have to, keep going and not complain. And they have been socially at the same place since the war, while the rest of the society has, been developing and have all these goods and all these riches that the farmers haven't been able to partake in. And I think, regular people have so little insight or understanding into what it's actually like to be a farmer, because they can't really, they can't understand it. But when you combine extremely low income or negative income and a lot of economic worries with very high debt, and then a lot of work and a lot of responsibility for living beings, and also that loneliness that you mentioned, because there are fewer and fewer farmers and they have less and less time to actually meet other people. So farmers go around on their own farm and they never see other people. If you combine
They only meet the vet.
Yeah. And, you know, also the vets have so extremely high workloads. And if you combine all those factors, then you have a recipe for disaster. And that's what we
It's
see now.
already happening. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's the reason for all the animal tragedies that we see, and that's the reason for why farmers and vets are, you know, the two occupations with the highest amount of suicides. It's a tragedy, and I personally don't know any farmers that haven't either been burnt out at least once, or been depressed, or is depressed.
Mm.
So this is an epidemic that nobody really talks about, but I think that the development that we are beginning to see now, where we see an increasing interest among normal people, you know, people from the city, people that haven't had that agricultural background, but that wants to enter agriculture, is really a very good thing, because we see that the traditional farmers are fading away, and we need normal people to actually come in and see how bad the situation is, because that is what will contribute to the change. So I am all for city people coming into agriculture. I'm so for more normal people starting to be involved in food production, because that is what we need to bring this revolution forth, I think.
Thank you. There's a question from David.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this conversation. Very interesting perspectives, and a big thank you to everybody that's contributing to making it possible. I have one comment and one question. When I first heard about the idea that you have, Mari, I was very happy to see other people are thinking similar thoughts. And but one immediate question maybe, or consideration, that would be if such a foundation, if the difference between having let's say a regional organization that's owning several farms, or even a national organization, what would be the strengths and weaknesses of a large foundation like that, and maybe there are some advantages to keeping it like Fokhol, that every farm has their own foundation. So you decentralize the decision making and the ownership. So, but that's I think there's many different variations, and I think we need many different variations. And I think many of these things will they will solve themselves as you go. Not everything should be figured out in advance. It's liberating to just start doing, and then solutions will come. But I'm curious to you on being a biodynamic farm. You have something that makes you different, and it's a big question to me. What are keeping people together? What are keeping communities together? What are we gathering around? And being a biodynamic farm, you have kind of a specific way of doing things, and perspective on both the nature and the human being. But how do you experience, is that a strength to be kind of specific in the goal, in the vedtektene, in the documents, or is it can it also be too limiting?
I think it is good to be as open as possible in those bylaws to really give the people that are coming the freedom to do what they do out of their heart, because then it's the only way you can give everything. And I don't feel biodynamic is a restriction to that. So biodynamic gives the diversity to the farm. And I know from Germany, many biodynamic farms have this foundation aspect, because I think it fits so well together, because biodynamic farms are diverse, and it's very easy to share responsibilities then, because we also have all our own areas we're in charge of. We have a team for the cow barn, we have a team for the arable land, a team for the garden. I couldn't imagine a system like that if we, I don't know, would just grow carrots, for example. If we would be like a 100-hectare carrot farm, that wouldn't create so much community in that sense. So biodynamic brings that aspect of diversity already with, because biodynamic farms, for the people maybe who don't know so much about it, they try to work within their circle of producing their own fodder for their own animals, having enough manure for their fields. So in that sense, it gives naturally diverse production. Yeah, does that answer a bit the question? Yes, but it's not specified if we grow wheat or rug or carrots or make cheese or sell milk to Tina. So that's in that sense, or if we become a tourist farm and do pony riding. So we're very free in that what we do. Yeah. And I think to what you mentioned before, I also had some thoughts, this differentiation of having a system for each farm or having a bigger picture. I think it's actually what you said, that the diversity is important, to have this and that, because a bigger foundation could actually buy farms that are economically struggling a lot and support, in that sense, farmland that's maybe not so productive, but very diverse. And if each foundation has to kind of manage themselves, it can be challenging. I mean, Fokhol has good conditions because we're having such fertile lands here, and we are connected to cities somewhere, not completely far away in the countryside. So we're working our ways out of the depth right now, but it will be a process. But I think that's a big advantage of having a foundation that covers several farms, to really then have the bigger diversity within the farms. And not every farm has to be then economic, actually, because we do have to be economic. Often people ask us, what's the company that supports us? Like DMW that kind of sends over a few million. Like we don't have that. We have to be economic and pay our bills and pay our loans and buy machinery, and like that's all like a normal farm, and pay ourselves a wage at the end of the day. So we have to, and that can be different from farm to farm. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very good question, David. It's always a question of what is the ideal size of an organization, because smaller organizations have some benefits and big organizations have completely different benefits. And I definitely see a lot of potential for what's it called? Stordriftsfordeler.
Yeah.
When you are a bigger, foundation, because there are a lot of tasks that would that doesn't really make sense that each farm does separately. It's a lot of double and triple and quadruple work, for instance, with accounting or communication. And I think if you have a network of several farms, it's more easy to both organize labor and put people in the right places, and perhaps share equipment and all those kinds of things. But it's definitely also always a challenge that when an organization becomes too big, it becomes too top down and too separated from what's actually happening on the ground. So I always try to be inspired by what we see in nature and how smaller systems function together in a bigger system, and how we might be inspired by that in a foundation like that. And it would seem very logical to me that even though we might talk about a foundation that would become national after a while, a big foundation, we would have smaller hubs within that, and perhaps a board or a group for each farm, and a way for the different farms to communicate together, and that not everything is top down, but that we actually have a thriving grassroots and organizing at the bottom. But that is a very exciting challenge that we'll have to figure out how to maintain have everybody's interests at heart, and figure out a way to organize ourselves where people are included, and where it is an actual democratic organization that is also efficient enough to be able to make decisions and make projects happen.
Thank you. So, and with the time is about to run out, I want to just say that the recordings of these episodes will be on our website, Landbruksalliansen, and on YouTube. And I would like to ask a last question to both of you. How is there a way we can support you, Anne, in the best way? Like, what do you need from us? And Mari, are you still open for people to get involved in your anti-capitalistic farm revolution? And how can people join?
Do you want to go first?
You go ahead. I need to think.
Well, when it comes to this foundation, we're just really at the very beginning. So everybody who wants can join in. It's just to send me an email. And personally, this is a pet peeve of mine. It's a labor of love, but it's only one part of the bigger evolution that I'm trying to work for. So if you in any way, shape, or form would like to become a part of the regenerative revolution, then you can hit me up on Instagram or check out my webpage and see what I do and see if there are ways that you can contribute. I have a reading circle this autumn about alternative economic systems, if you want to learn more about that and do it together with other people. So you're more than welcome to join there.
I think when you say us, do you mean Landbruksalliansen or us as people?
Both. Yeah, the general public and us as an organization.
Yeah, I think value the food. That's really what we need, as organic farmers, as biodynamic farmers, to really communicate out there that it's valuable to have good food, and then people come, and once people buy our products, we can make a living, and show up to the farms, or even write us a message and say thanks for what you're doing, because that's more than any payment, and the rest you'll figure out. Because we're out there on the fields day by day, often don't see many people, but we do it kind of for the people around us, because we produce more than we can eat ourselves, and that's what most farmers do if you're not doing a small scale self production. So So in that sense, value the farmers, meet the farmers, and communicate to friends and neighbors that food is actually costing something. All these commercials with Billy and it's all cheap. That's just, yeah, that's marketing, but it's not true. There's hard work behind that. Yeah, I think that's what we need: communication and value.
Okay, thank you so much again. Yeah, this was our last episode that we've planned. We might think of more episodes for the fall, but if there's interest for it. But this is it for now. So yeah, thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for organizing.
Tusen takk.
Ha det.
Ha det.
Ha det.
Veldig bra.